Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, looking mad greasy. Hope everybody's having a good morning. I'm feeling pretty good. Combination of relaxation. I've been up since 4 a.m. working on a playlist and just completed it right now. Feel pretty good about it. And also, of course, a combination of anxiousness, because of course I got a countdown ahead in regards to my court situation, which I have every reason to believe can work out in a way that has it so that I'll land on my feet somehow. And there's anything other than spiritual that makes me feel that way, but I've been praying a great deal and kind of pointing my energy in the best possible direction. I think that this particular go round, if you were following me the last time I went through this kind of process about a month ago, I'd say I'm doing 100% better in regards to just my overall spiritual outlook and my overall willingness to kind of just not be negative, to complete 180. And I've thrown myself kind of into what it is that I love to do, which is basketball. Enjoying the process of picking draft, prospects out for my team that I want to see and give you guys content on that. So that's kind of kept me positive. And it's just been a day-to-day kind of thing for the last couple of days. My weekend was great, to be honest with you, in regards to just keeping my energy calm. I've been creative and did a lot of art pieces that I was proud of, praying hard, that kind of thing throughout the process. And so, it's just been it's been rough. It's been very rough. But the stress has not been in control, and so that's what I can say. I've been able to kind of be positive and not get into a space where it's a compounded woe is me kind of thing or negativity. Nothing like that really. It's just the reality of the circumstance and then the disadvantage that I allow myself to feel just in general with my mental health as it is. And so I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy that I'm bringing you guys therapy session content once again, confidently speaking on the things that ultimately come to me naturally, because I had gotten away from that. And that's pretty much it. I'm really sore. My chest is sore as heck from all these push-ups and chest motions that I've been doing, as well as everything else that I've been trying to maintain. Getting my body back into shape after having that lull last month or the month before, where I just was not quite on top of my fitness, to the point where stress was really having me laying down a little more, that kind of thing. So that's just not how it's been. I've been very active and feeling pretty good. I'm probably gonna do some laundry today, waiting on groceries to arrive, and just trying to find a way to plan what needs to be planned out ahead in regards to me doing certain things that need to be done. And the stresses that I've been feeling in regards to going to the courthouse. I mean, it's only down the street. You guys saw me walk from the place all the way home, so it's not like I'm literally too far away from it. But it's just the point of me going through the process of trying to plan out getting there, getting back. Do I want to walk there and back? Probably not. I want to be able to do that in a space of mind where I was free. The only reason why I did that is because I was feeling so good about how it turned out. Don't necessarily know if I want to take that long walk home if I'm not having good fortune in the situation. So it's like, these are things that have to be planned out in regards to how you're going to pay for that. When you're low on funds like I am, needless to say, you gotta sell a share every time you do that. And so it's hell for me selling shares, you know what I mean, especially when you're running low. But at the same time, you're like, you know what, you're only selling what it is you have to sell, and everything else is held. And that's prayers are being prayed about it every time we do it. So right now I was just anxious about what I needed to do to secure the funds to get to where I needed to go. I was having a good conversation with my buddy KT, helping each other out. She's going through her difficulties, dealing with her situation, losing her bro. And we hadn't talked in a couple of days, but the energy wasn't bad like it had been in times where there's been distance and stuff like that, because I know she's going through what she's going through. So my energy toward her is, please heal in whatever way you need to. And of course I'm going through what I'm going through, so I don't know how much help I can be in regards to helping that process. So kind of been a little silent and distant as we normally are at times. But we talked this morning, and she's doing better, and she was helping me. And I was kind of explaining to her that the anxieties are just increasing. It's getting worse, basically, in regards to how difficult it is for me to handle just simple tasks and dealing with things that need to be done. And so, you know, she was telling me to work on 5-minute breathing techniques and things of that nature that I will definitely take seriously, because, you know, that's what's lacking. Sometimes you don't get enough oxygen when you live the way I do. You don't get outside to see anyone. You don't get the sunlight on the skin that you need to kind of give you the clarity of mind to move around the way you need to. And so that's what it is for me. It's just the anxiousness of knowing I got to get back to work, not having a vehicle, and then just going through the process of humbling myself to get back on the bus, knowing that I had gotten away from that era of my life. Told myself I was never going to get back on the bus, but allowed myself to allow the car to go just to hold the shares, only to find them being in a space where they shouldn't be in regards to the number of shares I have. So, you know, all of this seems like a failure, but it wasn't, in a sense that I used the shares to stay afloat. So it's not like, you know what I mean, they just dissipated into nothing. They're represented in the time that I've spent here coping with my anxiety. And they served me well, and they taught me how to live frugal, taught me how to live without. And so I've taken things with me, along with everything that I've done in this house, including putting together the content on this channel. And that's what I paid for, you know what I mean? But at this point, it's like, now I got to be able to think forward, and how am I going to take care of myself going forward? And it's just the anxiety of having to look at my situation and know that if there's no help, it could get worse, you know what I mean? And that's just really what it comes down to. And the anxiety of asking family for help, and we've already talked about that. That is a big part of it. And it's like, you know, I don't know if they're going to say yes or no, and that is a really heavy load on me, and I'm putting it off the conversation. It's like, this is ridiculous. I don't want to ask them for nothing. I'm trying not to ask them for nothing, and it's like, you don't have a choice, sir. That's what I tell myself. You can put it off, but if they say no, you're going to have some nights where you're not going to be doing too well. So that's just the reality of it. And it's not mine to take from them or anything like that, you know what I mean? I'm not owed anything I don't believe, but at the same time, it's like, this is the mistake that you make when you put yourself in a position to not get help for your head and then choose not to work. Then you find yourself in situations like this. And so I did that, you know, and I'm no closer to being in control of my mindset as it pertains to going back out there and being a professional. I know I'm not ready. I know I'm not, because if I were, I would already be out there out of necessity. So it's one of those situations where if I could, I basically would, is what I'd tell you, if I could bring myself to just do it. And this is one of those situations where it's like, I hope that the reality and the details of my circumstance will provide me some grace in regards to what it is that I'm dealing with versus what it is that I need. Because at some point in time, I have to look at myself and say, this, from what it is that I'm dealing with, whatever it is, whether it be mental illness or just bad conditioning of my own mind, whatever it is, it has such a hold on me that I haven't been able to snap out of it out of necessity. And because of that, it is a disability. And that's the part that I've had a hard time wrapping my mind around, is whether or not I'm ready to accept that this is a disability, or that this is something that I'm still fighting with myself about and can snap out of at any point. That's where it's been troubling for me, because it's like, I need to get the psych eval, but again, here we go with the transportation, mental stuff, financial stuff, however you want to view what it is that I'm weighing here. Sell a share to get there. Is it one time to go, or do I have to go there once a week? And if so, why am I Ubering there? I just got to start taking the bus. And if so, how do I convince myself to start doing that? Maybe I'll be forced to by way of just the fact that I'm going to have to get around. But it's like, all of these things shouldn't be that much of a struggle for a person. When you're in a fight or flight situation and you need to make a way for yourself, none of these things should be in your head. And all of them not only are in my head, but I struggle with them to the point where I don't move while struggling with them. They're so convincing that I don't move. And it's been like this my whole life. As you guys know, I've told you a million times, if you follow these therapy sessions, I don't want to say the same thing too often in this video that you've already heard, but this is what I'm dealing with. You know, it doesn't change. This is my day-to-day. I wake up in the morning knowing I need to do more outside and not being able to convince myself to do so, for fears of God knows what, how many different variables that this head has convinced itself. And if you listen to me talk about various things, you know it's a lot of them. Why I've convinced myself to stay in this damn house, and why I've convinced myself to want to be in isolation all my life, even to the detriment of very, very important people and very important things. So with this battle being as frustrating as it is, for some reason I think that maybe a session of sitting down with someone who doesn't know me and me talking to them kind of sort all this out. But the reality is, I think they're going to try to give me medication. And maybe people like me do need medication. But I also think people like me just need a place to create and enough money to make it so that this ain't stressing them out. And that's really all I really need, is a space to create. And so I think that's what it really comes down to. I'm in an environment where I just can't do my thing. You know, I have to kind of adhere to the world, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. But for a person like myself who struggles with anxieties and various different social things, coupled with various different ego stuff that I really have to overcome within myself as a man, so I'll go back out there and do what needs to be done. But just emotional stuff and every kind of different thing that I allow myself to keep me stagnant, those things are real to me. And as I find myself needing to get outside and needing to make phone calls to fix my situation and needing and not being able to, it then becomes a situation where I have to be honest with you and say, this is something that has been out of control for a very long time. And I would love to be lying to people so that I can create content, or, you know what I mean? I would love to be telling y'all, yo, I'm fine. No. I'm ill. I've been ill my whole life, and I've been coping with it, and it's gotten significantly worse in isolation. And that is a real thing. And I'm capable. You know what I mean? I can still do Laker videos. I can still do this content. I can still go over there and do some art. I can still do my, whatever, all the different things, whatever. Always going to be capable of creating, but capable of being able to sit in a space with immense amount of stress waiting for something bad to happen without losing my mind. Well, I'm proving that that's been a little difficult. So that's really what it is, man. I wake up in the morning feeling good about myself as a person. My intentions are to continue to do the good things that I continue to do, you know, all the things that I'm proud of, but continuing to work toward keeping my relationship with God close so that he can speak into me in the unique ways that he ultimately does, that can give me the way to navigate through the content that he allows me to create, you know, so that substance can be found in the wordplay. And these are different things that I know I can do no matter what. No matter where I'm at, I can be sitting on the highest mountain or under the lowest bridge and still do the exact same thing I'm doing right now. So that's what it really comes down to, is just turning the anxiety and all these stresses into substance and creative things, you know, art, whatever, and letting it be my legacy, letting it be what it is that I can do in place of all of what it is that I didn't do, dealing with myself. So that's really what it is, man. It's a great deal of confidence attached to myself, obviously, for getting up here and speaking this way and being this open with people. I think it's a great deal of love that I have for myself that would want help, and would want others to see me as an example of somebody who's open and willing to ask or say that I need, or saying that I'm going to find, or what have you, help. And I think that there's a way forward that doesn't trigger others to feeling worse while still healing oneself. And so that's really what it is. I've been told many times that the internet is not my therapist, but I tell you that I created it anyway. I tell you that I made it so. I tell you that they told me what I couldn't do, and I did it anyway. And that's really what it is. That's what being a pioneer is all about. That's what being a trailblazer is all about. That's what being alive is all about, is doing what comes naturally to you, if at all possible, if you are afforded the freedom to do so. Because many are not, is what I've come to understand in my walk in this life. Many people are not afforded the ability to be themselves, if for not the environment they're in, or the cultures that influence them, or the people around them in their families that just will not let them be. I've just chosen to reserve the right to do so, and this is me. Extremely anxious, and all these other different attributes that maybe you define as you see this person. But honestly, when I look at myself these days, I just see a person who really tried hard to stand on what he believed in and succeeded, and this is what came of it. And so there's a great deal of pride attached to my circumstances, because regardless if they were misguided or not, I saw my path in regards to what it is I was doing through, and I found what I was made of, and that's ultimately what I can say I found. No one can ever tell me I wasn't able to stand on something. No one can ever tell me I wasn't able to adapt to humble circumstances, or couldn't survive harsh times, or couldn't do it alone. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can tell me, even though I struggled alone and maybe didn't necessarily do it because it ain't getting done. At the end of the day, I've done it, and whatever I've done, I've been able to accomplish what I accomplished by myself. And I don't think everybody's wired for that, man. I really don't. I don't even know if I was wired for that when I look back on how things have gone. But I made it work. I kept my heart in a place that was loving of others. Even though I didn't have anybody around me, I still want more for others. And I appreciate the Holy Spirit for putting that in me, because I just don't think that's a normal trait either. But nevertheless, he helps me understand something, a bigger picture, so to speak, in regards to what it is that I see around me. Things that we engage in that don't work for us, as I always talk about, not to get into old spiels again, but this is, I guess, why I'm wired the way I am, so that I can be this person. And he gave me a lot. He gave me a whole lot, which is why I don't walk around caring too much about my appearance in regards to this camera. When you guys see me with my hair all over the place, or, you know, sniffling and all this other stuff, it's because there's a inner security that comes with who I am. And the Lord has given me a lot of different things that I really truly believe that I'm capable of, that I haven't shown, and because of it, it just allows me to be comfortable in my own skin in the process of displaying this person that's extremely anxious and extremely in his mental space that isn't necessarily positive. Even when I'm in these spaces like this, even though I think I feel pretty good, to be honest with you, but even when I'm kind of jittery, so to speak, there's always an understanding that the God above me is watching over me, has done enough to help me understand he's on my side. And so when he's unhappy with me, I'll know, is essentially what I've come to trust. I may not necessarily know which way is up or down a lot of situations. I may not necessarily know how the best to make myself fit into whatever it is I need to fit into sometimes, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I've gotten enough from that aspect of my reality, the spiritual aspect. I've received enough confirmation to know that whatever it is I'm going through or feeling is exactly what it is I should be feeling. That there's no confusion in that regard. That the struggles themselves are by design. The mental stresses and various different circumstances I got going on are by design. No different than how I define the talent or perceive as the talent, whatever within, or the goodness I perceive within, or what have you. All of it is this exactly custom for who it is that he wants me to be. And so as I struggle with whatever it is this is, I just ask that he equip me with a bit more acceptance and a lot more control over what it is that I can ultimately do for myself outside of this apartment, so that I don't find myself attached to it anymore. Because at the end of the day, that's what's allowed me to get as weak and as jittery as I've become. It's just being in this space with negative things going on. You know what I mean? Just not dealing with things as they've come my way in ways that allow them to not be in these four walls, so to speak, weighing down on me, you know. And so I think that's part of the problem. It's finding myself to be wired for that type of conditioning and isolation. It just doesn't make for a good outlook when you really sit in it for too long. You start losing sight of what it is you're supposed to be doing, what your responsibilities are, you know, who's important, who's not, as it pertains to reaching out to people and stuff like that. You just lose all sense of why that even matters anymore. And that's not a good thing at all. That is not something that I can say proudly. I love all the family and friends that I have and people that love me back, for sure. But I tell you, when I'm in my place of peace, I feel safe here. You know, that's what it really comes down to. It's just a desire for some type of safety, as if I'm someone in need of that shelter. And I know it comes from some childhood fears. I know that. Childhood traumas, running from Connie, same old stuff that we've talked about many times. That's all it ever is. It's not that I'm running from the people that I'm actually in this life with. It's that these old demons that I've dealt with, and you know, in the past, they never really got fully dealt with, I don't believe. And so as I've grown into a grown man, it just makes for a much more difficult time. And I used to hear about people saying they would revisit childhood circumstances mentally as they grew older. You become more childlike in certain ways, but I never thought that I would return back to who I was when I was like 10, 11 years old, when anxiety really controlled my life. I thought I was completely done with that and healed from that, but apparently it's something that stays with you, and it might be genetic. It might be hereditary, for me, to be honest with you. On my dad's side, the more I learn about some of my family members over there, I realize they probably got something in there like that just makes it so that every other person may have some type of mental illness or anxiety or something like that. And so as we learn, it's like, you know, you spend your whole life on your mom's side, you know, so you look at their traits, and those are the only ones you're really aware of, your mom's mom and your mom's dad. But what you don't know is who your grandmother on your dad's side was. Did she have anxiety? And if so, did I directly inherit something that she struggled with deeply? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You just don't know. I have no idea. But I tell you, I got it bad. I got it worse than anybody I know in my family. And it's ruining my life a little bit. You know what I mean? Not as it pertains to how I feel about myself or what I'm doing, but it's as it pertains to just the overall conditioning of my circumstances. It's making it impossible to survive this way. So I'm looking forward to some help in regards to my finances, but even more so, much more so, in regards to my management of myself. I don't know if one can change their DNA, so to speak, but I definitely can make some changes in regards to how I handle stress and how I approach stress and how I approach circumstances that are very, very anxious, you know, and very, very tedious in regards to sitting down and doing things that may not be comfortable for me, may not fit my agenda, or may not fit what it is that I want to do. You know, those are things that I want to get better at. And so, and given how I'm already in my late 30s, you just want to get to a point where you spend the last, you know, 30 years, whatever years you got left, not struggling with the same stuff you struggled with your whole life. And that's really what it comes down to. You just get to a point where you're like, you know, whatever time I have left, whatever the path is, I'm sure as hell don't want to keep struggling like this. So what can I do right now to get me into a position where that can at least no longer be the case somewhere down the road? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So what do I do to be a friend to my future? as I often like to say, that's one of my favorite phrases. How do I be a friend to my future? By doing what you need to do for tomorrow today. Yeah, so for me, it's formulating what that is, and not skipping steps, and not looking at the entire mountain as it pertains to what needs to be done, and more so just kind of taking increments upward. So that's really what I hope to do. I hope to share that with you as well. If you're in a space where you're looking at the entire mountain, I mean, it is a mountain, but you're not going to scale it with one step. So you might as well just look at it as a path forward and just walk it. So that's what it is, man. For me, is, I think the plan is to find a way to get out of my mind and out of my spirit into action. And so what I guess I forgot to tell you guys is, yesterday I did some action. I put myself in a position to be a friend to my future in regards to something that I did not want to take many steps in renewing, and that was my security license. So I did get that renewed yesterday. Only cost me $40, and the funny thing was that I had secured money for groceries and for what I thought could be a round trip to the court. But when I looked at my email yesterday, it said BSS renewal, and something told me, check that out and take care of that right now. And I went to it, and I didn't know how much it was going to cost. For all I knew, it was going to be way more than I had. But I followed that voice. I clicked all the links, did everything I needed to do, set myself up for it. And the funny thing was, is they made you agree to every damn thing before telling you how much it cost. They really did. They made you say yes before they ever told you the price. So I just humored them. I'm like, I don't give a damn. I'm so in my head right now, I could care less if this doesn't even go through. Let me just follow the voice. And I click. And it turned out it was $40. And I was like, man, I mean, my situation, I don't know if it makes any sense for me to give away any money that I need to give away. And it was like, you know what, follow the voice, just do what it tells you. And then at that point, I heard in my head that same voice said, you will have exactly enough to do exactly what you want to do. Almost to the coin. And I heard the voice and I laughed it off. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trust it, for sure. I'm not even going to doubt it. So I did the transaction, and it left me with $27.77. When I got my groceries were $27 and I think 57 cents or something like that. I kid you not. So these are the type of things that help me understand I'm on some type of divine path, even though my mind struggles with every damn thing. These little coincidences and signs and suggestions and measures that I'm not actually measuring because I'm really not even thinking about it, but for whatever reason my subconscious mind has measured this out to a T. However that goes, I'm learning to trust it, because at the end of the day, it is much smarter than me while I'm in my spaces of great grief or frustration or shame or whatever the hell I'm feeling in this very, very anxious and disturbed brain. And so that's what it is. I gotta trust them instincts because they're smarter than me. They measure better than me, so to speak. It's like a subconscious spirit that guides me and keeps me whole while I'm dealing with childhood energy. So it's just it's very much something that I want to mature from, and then have a more of a harnessed, centered self toward listening to that voice and becoming more of that voice, speaking and thinking as that, more so than just something that's suggesting to me how to move around here and there, but letting that be the consciousness itself. I guess that's the goal for me. But at the end of the day, man, we just want to get through the day. At the end of the day, you're happy to have gotten through the day. And there are a lot of people who woke up this morning with difficult circumstances, and they didn't complain, so why should I guess is what I'll say. And as I started the camera telling you guys, I feel stronger. Talking to my friend KT was just enough of a boost for me to kind of feel strong enough to sell the shares necessary to secure the money for the growth, for the ride over. or for whatever it is I'll need for next week if I decide to walk. But the point is, money would need to be secured. And looking at them shares and where they at right now was completely difficult for me before having that conversation. Completely difficult. I didn't want to do it. I want to hear it. Nothing. And sorry about that. Piece of hair fell onto the phone lens. But anyway, at that point, I just didn't want to do nothing other than stay away from anything that stresses me as always. But it just comes to a point where you do what you love to do. You talk to people you care about. They give you a little motivation to refocus. And you just look at what your stresses are and don't see them the same way. Suddenly, whatever it is that was you were cowering in the face of, you just get your butt up and do it. You look at it and say, nah, it's not as hard right now. And I think that's how my brain kind of works sometimes. Just need a little bit of motivational factors or somebody to recenter me, say, yo, get your head on straight, put your head up and move forward. And for me right now, it's that inner voice and that Holy Spirit, so to speak, and that prayerful energy that's doing it for me most of the time. And, it needs to do a better job because we ain't moving fast enough for the circumstances and the urgency necessary for my circumstances, I suppose. And I say suppose because you never really know what comes with what. So, but if you're looking at the math in front of me, I'd better make some changes fast or things are going to collapse around me. And so that's just a reality it's been the whole time. And you've watched me complain about that for almost 2-3 years. And watch the Lord save me from the bottom every time. Maybe this is different, maybe it's not. But, my faith is very strong because of it. Very strong. And so I try to apply that not only to my own self, but of course, to everything that I pray about, everybody I pray about. Try to get as creative with these prayers as possible, as we've talked about previously. So I'm on that. I encourage everybody to look inside of themselves and try to find that love, that inner voice that they can trust, that'll lead them toward the things that ultimately make them a friend to their future. And that's what I hope for all of you. And just understand that if you have these type of anxieties, or if you're feeling something, whatever it may be, if you've been through something that may have messed with your head a little bit, maybe you don't want to talk to nobody professional, maybe you do, whatever the case may be, just know that you're not by yourself in your walk. That even though you may have something that may be unique to who you are, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are by yourself in your circumstances and how you struggle, because I can assure you, you are not. That's what I'm certain of. So yeah, that's really it. That's really what it is, man. You just learn to trust yourself. So I think I'll end my video there, get some breakfast in my system, go make some artwork for this latest playlist, which I think is pretty solid. It's a good one. The K-List 350. I encourage everybody to go follow BDF at Apple Music. Go check out all this stuff I've been doing. And that's pretty much where my head is. You guys know I say pray for everybody. If you do that, the prayers will land on me just by default. So I never ask anybody to just pray for me. That's very cool, but we can pray for everybody, and it'll reach you too. So I think that's much cooler. So that's what I got. BDF 44. I thank you for watching.